It's pretty spectacular. Hey guys, Olivia here from My Wandering Voyage, and I want to talk to you about something very near and dear to my heart: Ontario's provincial parks. Ontario has over 662 parks and protected areas, which cover about 10% of the province. You may only know the 115 or so operating provincial parks, but there are so many protected areas across Ontario that aren't as popular or have been abandoned as a park, but still protected. I visited a total of 51 provincial parks in my lifetime, 31 of which just last year, and I wanted to share with you my favorites. I'm also sorry for the video quality and the aspect ratio of a lot of these clips. I visited a lot of these parks a while ago. Anyway, you might be surprised with some of these parks on my list or what's left off the list, but be sure to stick around to the end of the video where I'm showing a photo from every park I've been to. And please let me know your favorite park in the comments below. Let's dig in. Number 1 on this list, and in my heart, is CRAIGLEITH Provincial Park, located on Georgian Bay near Collingwood. This place will always top the list of my favorite parks. It's small, the camping's not super great, and it's right on a main road. However, this place is my happy place, and I can't tell you how many times we've road tripped here just to sit on the beach for a few hours. It's got a rock solid beach with the best swimming out there. And what's cool about CRAIGLEITH is that the entire beach is covered in fossils. I think it's definitely an underrated park, especially since Wasaga Beach and Sauble Beach, the two longest freshwater beaches in the world, are so close. But CRAIGLEITH will always, always be in my heart. Also located on Georgian Bay, but further north, is KILLBEAR Provincial Park. And heading to KILLBEAR was kind of a last-minute decision for my group of camping friends. We were there on the very last weekend of the season in October, and the colors were phenomenal. But on the second night, all I could hear in the tent was this onslaught of what I thought might be a freezing rainstorm. It certainly was raining at first, but we woke up to this magical winter wonderland as the park, it was transformed from orange to white. I remember wrapping myself in my blankets and then heading down to this famous windswept tree and being mesmerized by the beauty of it all. KILLBEAR has a few trails and a lot of waterfront, and it's just an overall relaxing park in the shoulder seasons. I haven't been in the summer, but I have heard it does get busy. Even further north is an inland park called GRUNDY Provincial Park. GRUNDY is that quintessential Canadian Shield park with awesome trails and lakes to explore. Going to GRUNDY was another spur-of-the-moment trip that I just wanted to go to photograph the stars. And let me tell you, we lucked out. It was an unseasonably cold, crisp night with no clouds and low humidity, and the stars were just stunning. Despite staying up super late, I remember getting up at the crack of dawn and heading down to the lake to watch the mist come off the lake. It was just amazing. Honestly, if you were to show me a photo of OUIMET Canyon Provincial Park before going there, I would not have believed it was in Ontario. It's truly an out-of-this-world place. OUIMET Canyon is this giant scar in the earth that is 150 meters wide and 100 meters deep. It's so crazy because it was like my eyes could not comprehend the depth of the gorge. OUIMET Canyon Provincial Park is a day-use-only park and has just one trail to the viewpoints along the cliff, but it's a must-see if you're doing a Northern Ontario road trip. Another must-see in Northern Ontario is Lake Superior Provincial Park. Located on either side of the Trans-Canada Highway in Northern Ontario, you'll have to drive right through it on your way westward. Lake Superior Provincial Park is truly the most exquisite stretch of nature in Northern Ontario. I've driven through it many times, but last year was the first year I had actually camped there. And let me tell you, camping at ARROWHEAD Bay was amazing. Our site was right on the water. And there are so many trails here to check out too, like the ARROWHEAD pictographs, Encompass Lookout, ARROWHEAD Falls, Sand River, and so many more. For anyone looking to take a trip to Lake Superior Provincial Park, you've got to stop at Catherine Cove. It's an awesome spot for swimming when the waves are pretty calm. What I remember most about Silent Lake Provincial Park is the silence. This park is located halfway between Toronto and Ottawa in the Ontario Highlands region. We were there to winter camp, and it just so happened to be an extreme cold warning that weekend. It was so cold that the outhouse toilet frosted over. I loved hiking along Bonnie's Pond, up to the viewpoint, around the lake, and just how quiet it was there. So I was late to the game to visit Arrowhead Provincial Park, visiting only for the first time, and the second, in early 2020. I returned in the fall, and I can't get over how spectacular the park is. From skating to snowshoeing to hiking and beautiful vistas, you can't go wrong with a trip to Arrowhead, which is nearby Huntsville, Ontario in Muskoka. Their skating trail is spectacular, and how much fun is it that they do tiki torches at night? I'd love to come back to camp here in the summertime. While Arrowhead is known for their skating trail, I actually think the one at MacGregor Point Provincial Park is even better. MacGregor Point and I didn't get off on the right foot. I camped here during an unseasonably warm winter, and everything was so dull, gray, warm, but the second time around, we camped during the middle of a lake effect snowstorm, and it didn't stop snowing for 3 days. It was a magical winter wonderland. Their skating trail and snowshoe trails are amazing, and they're on the shores of Lake Huron. What's better than that? Have you ever heard of POTHOLES Provincial Park? I hadn't before this year. It's located about halfway between Wawa and Chapleau in northern Ontario. There's really only one thing to do here, and that's a short trail leading to potholes. That's right, the trail leads you to an epic landscape of glacial potholes. It's actually really cool, and the trail leads further to a field of boulders left there by glacial retreat. And I don't really know why I love this park so much. It's just interesting and underrated and in the middle of nowhere. So there are a couple of places in Ontario where when you look across the river, you're staring into the US. And Pigeon River Provincial Park is one of them. To get to Pigeon River Provincial Park, you drive from Thunder Bay until you almost hit the US border. And you've arrived. It's literally 300 meters from the border crossing. And both the US and Ontario have parks dedicated to this place. So if you jump onto the High Falls Trail, you'll come across this spectacular waterfall. And the park used to be a resort in the early 1900s. So on the trail, you'll actually see remnants of an old chimney used in the lodge and learn about logging history here. It was really weird seeing the US just over the river. But I think we have the better view. Alright, honorable mention number 1. Hiking in Sleeping Giant Provincial Park is second to none. But I'm only giving this an honorable mention because I didn't love the campground. You could tell it was one of those older campgrounds, and while we were there, the outhouses were infested with this weird slug centipede thing for 2 days. Like, I'm good with gross, but that was a little too far. However, the trails are really well marked, and the top of the giant trail was exhausting, but oh my god, it was spectacular. Honorable mention number 2. If something is named Niagara Falls of the North, you'll want to see it. KAKABEKA Falls Provincial Park near Thunder Bay has an incredible waterfall just off the Trans-Canada Highway. It's a must-see if you're on a cross-Canada road trip. There are some trails and a campground too, but it can get busy in the summer. Honorable mention number 3. I would be remiss without mentioning Algonquin Provincial Park, the oldest provincial park in Ontario and Canada. And it's what sparked Ontario park system we see today. And there's so much to do here. There's hiking and biking and canoeing and camping in the summer, and then skiing and snowmobiling and skating and more in the winter. It's also a beautiful drive if you go in the fall, but it can be really busy. Last time I was here, a friend and I wanted to see the view from the Hardwood Lookout Trail, and when we got to the top, a snowstorm had rolled in, and there was no view. Oh well. As promised, here's a photo from every single Ontario Provincial Park I've ever been to. That's it for my list of favorite provincial parks in Ontario. Was your favorite provincial park on this list? Let me know in the comments below. Keep an eye out for the next video where I'll be talking about best national parks in Ontario. And if you want to learn more about any of these parks, hit up my blog in the description box below. Until next time, catch you later. Bye! And scene.